right, we are live. I have Joe with me. I'm Brian. This is Stoic Calm, trying to be less kind of emotional on things and just realize that, as Joe has told me one time, kind of to be an observer, not necessarily maybe a participant.
Hard to do. In theory, it's great, but I know for myself and just where I come from, my family, my history with friends, my history as an employee and as an employer. I was self-employed for a while. Um, as a contractor, as a man in relationships throughout my life, I have a big mouth.
Um, yes. Have
And
you
that's something that's the dog I've had to put on a leash. No doubt. Sorry, go ahead.
Now, I've been listening to Alan Watts, whether I agree with him
Oh,
or not.
Alan Watts is amazing, man.
Oh, you know of him, the British philosopher.
Oh, yeah. I've listened to Alan Watts for 15 years, probably.
Now, he, by the way, is against talking to yourself. He doesn't believe in doing that. He says if you're talking to yourself, you're not really listening. One of the things, and this is, I don't know if you agree or disagree with this, but he says no one is more dangerously insane than one who is sane all the time. He is like a steel bridge without flexibility, and the order of his life is rigid and brittle. The only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it, move with it, and join the dance. And he says the meaning of life is just to be alive. It is so plain and it is so obvious and so simple, and yet everybody rushes around in a great panic as if it were necessary to achieve something beyond themselves.
And it's funny. I don't know, funny, but it's when you break down so many philosophies, it's amazing. You go through this, I mean, you can go through hundreds of hours of information and books to read and in the end it seems like every philosophy kind of boils down to one thing: to life is to just be. And it's just like the most simple end result of these amazing philosophies. And it's, I don't know, you may think I'm off on this. I always seem to be amazed that in the end it's like, what's the takeaway here? And it's always just to be.
Yeah. But it is certainly easier said than done. I mean, I've lived in my head for such a long time and lived with my thoughts, and uh, I kind of I kind of treat conversation to a large extent as a kind of a competition, particularly within the political realm. It's a competition, and I guess to a degree, there's no point in things being a competition. You're either going to agree with it or not. And I'm like most human beings, I have very little power and very little say within the world. So life's, like, I mean, a conversation is either a conversation or if it's a competition. And if it's a competition, like a debate, then I don't think there's a point in having a conversation with someone who treats it like a debate or someone who's going to try to gaslight you or put you in a different perspective. We're all here on this earth trying to live life in the best manner that we can, or most of us are anyway. And there are, most of the time it's inner forces, it's the forces within yourself, and then outside forces are secondary. Although at this point in time, these outside forces have made a great impact on our lives just due to the fact that we have to wear a mask over our face wherever we go. Like anytime we go in somewhere, if we want to buy something, we have to put something on over our face. And talking to other human beings and meeting other people has become really restricted over over the years.
Let me ask you something. Do you consider yourself a spiritual being? A spiritual man?
I consider myself a man.
But I asked you, are you a spiritual man?
No, I'm just a man. I'm just a man.
So you don't live with the spirit, is what you're saying. Because let me just put it this a different way. When you are so life begins with your first inspiration, right? Your first breath,
Yes.
inspiration. And our life terminates, we die with our final expiration,
Mm.
right? So what happens in between inspiration and expiration is our spirit. So in essence, every person who takes a breath by biological definition is a spirited being. And you see, we've had it beaten out of us. We've had it, and we've been programmed to think that being a spirited man or spirited being is something other than just taking breaths. Our breaths are our spirit. So with that, would now if I asked you the same question, would if I said, are you a spiritual being, a spiritual man, would you still answer no?
Under your definition, I guess I would be considered perhaps a spirit. Is there anything scientific to this?
To breathing?
Yes, I guess there is. I mean, or how much is scientific?
Look at the definition and I'll pull it up. I'll pull it up.
Okay.
No, that's fair enough. So let's go to spirit. Now, and also remember another thing that has happened is people look at the first definition of something and they think, oh, okay, you've got to truly understand the meaning of a word.
I guess for me, there's a part of me that likes the idea of spiritual, but I believe in the physical. I guess to a degree, I strive for enlightenment and a higher tone with nature. I want to get to the nature of things.
So even if you go to the definition of inspiration, the act of drawing in, like drawing air into the lungs, and so by definition, we are all inspired. We are all spirited. These words all have the same root: spirit, inspire.
Mhm. I'm inspired really by the nature of things and studying the nature and the root of where things lie, and that is my what's at the root of anger, what's at the root of someone's anger and upset, being upset. But yeah, so uh, and so I do kind of want to be one with nature. And right now there are, like the nature of things right now at this moment, Joe, is a lot of people are in fear. They are in fear of an affection, of an infection. They
Boogeyman.
are in fear of uncertainty because these are very uncertain times right now.
People are afraid of a virus that some have said may not even present itself with any visible signs. I mean, it's by definition a boogeyman. The, the symptoms are invisible.
Well, yeah, I mean, the thing of it is, the symptoms are visible, but they certainly have, gotten quite a few people, and including myself, as someone that believes that this virus is contagious, and if you have a pre-existing condition like I do, this kind of thing can be very, very difficult and really hard on the body. But also, should we lose our constitutional rights because of a virus? Should we should like I understand if a private business wants to mandate masks, but should the government say you have to have masks in your store? Is that a necessary? Is that a necessary thing for a disease that has a 1% morbidity? It's just a thought, and how how effective is this mask? I mean, sometimes you do things for safety reasons. It's like, I guess wearing shoes to a degree. We all wear shoes nowadays. We used to, before shoes were invented, we did walk around barefoot, and our feet could get hurt and damaged. I think that our feet were a lot stronger when we went out barefoot, but um, we become and one of the things that I do fear, Joe, is that this is going to be a normal part of life.
It looks, well, I mean, all you have to do is go back 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened 20 years ago?
Um, well, 9/11. I mean, like,
Yes, 9/11. And how many things changed after 9/11? And did any of those things ever come back? No, no, they didn't. Those things changed. Those Some of those rights were taken, maybe under the pretext or the thinking that it was a temporary grab. There's nothing temporary 20 years later about it. Nothing temporary about it. Those changes were permanent, and we're going through that right now. And people are just okay with it.
well,
So,
I guess a lot of people value their safety more than their freedom, and that they're told that that it's better. And Angry Brown says, all my life, stores have had a no shirt, no shoes, no service sign. It's nothing new, or it's nothing new. I think it's nothing new. So, yeah, stores have had those policies, but those stores they were implemented by their policies, those store policies. They were not implemented by the government, and this is why it is different. And there have been businesses that have been completely shut down, and there are people that believe that this is a reset and this is all by design. I do not believe that. I believe that people are genuinely afraid, and this is a reaction to that fear. Whether the fear is legitimate or not, this is the reaction, and they absolutely believe it. I don't believe that there is a boogeyman. I believe that, for the most part, with regards to government, people come in with the best of intentions, and that's where kind of the road to hell is paved a lot of times. I mean, there's also the road. I mean, there can be hell with people with bad intentions for you as well. And the government does say you have to wear a seatbelt. Joe, are you still there?
oh yeah.
Okay. But I believe a lot of people make decisions on fear, and the problem is that we're not talking about these restrictions on our freedom. You know, when my father, when he failed out of college, he got a notice in the mail that he was to be drafted into the armed services. Now, he claimed he never opened it because it was for the army, and he said, instead of joining the army, he would join the Air Force. And we used to force young men, and we still force young. I mean, we still have people registering for the draft. We don't have an active draft, but we do. This country does reserve the right to now. Angry Brown says epidemiology isn't fear; it's science. Well, you can still be afraid of the science. You can be afraid of a virus, and you can respond out of that fear. Doesn't mean fear is not always ill. I mean, fear a lot of times is not illegitimate.
Well, fear can definitely save you, if but you can be overrun by it as well.
Joe, both anger and fear can either help you or it can hurt you. If you're consumed by either, that is when it becomes the problem. And for me, some of this stuff that I look at, it consumes me with anger, and I know that it's not right. And there are times also when I get consumed by fear. And I know that that's not the best way, but it is what it is. So I can be consumed by fear and anger, and I think a lot of people get consumed by both. And both are bad to get consumed by.
Well, there's also the idea of if you repeat a lie often enough, people will believe it's the truth. And all you have to do is take a look at what's happening all around. The operant conditioning, so prevalent in behavioral psychology, behavioral psychology 101. And, people wearing as a badge of honor that they got poked not once but twice.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that this whole thing is just nothing more than an effort to GMO mankind, which allows the corporate patents. Okay, all of these are patented operations, and so now it, anybody who's gone through this process is literally GMO'd persons.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go into a courtroom, you're subject to those corporate patents. It's an unbelievable play going on, unbelievable trickery. And for me to keep my stoic calm, it requires me to remember that I am an inspired man. I do have that ability to breathe.
Well, I'll tell you something. If what you say is true, this is not, of course, if you look at history, the first time that human beings have taken away other human beings' right for whatever reason. And there are times, I guess, perhaps, when it is a good reason to take away rights are curtailed. And some say when rights are taken away, are they given back? And that is really a fear will we live under a psychological thing of wearing this mask? I mean, it's almost like will we be buried in a mask, or will we finally get to take it off when we die? And I'm lucky that I don't have children. Would I want my children to live under something like this? You know, I have to, part of my job is sometimes I have to tell people at certain places that they have to disperse. They're too close together. And I wonder if you would rebel if you were in a group of people and someone were to ask you, "Hey, guy, this is something that you guys may want to disperse. You're getting too close." But yeah, this is these are troubling times. I wanted to get back into the show that we did yesterday about Karen and whataboutism.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the person is an anti-masker, but she's also very angry, and she's a person that does not manage her anger well. And she did something that was detrimental to her, and not only detrimental to her, but detrimental to her children by acting in a really barbaric kind of manner. And things like that happen more often, but even back then, people who called people racial epithets or said things were, you know, even then were considered barbaric. I just saw a flash. I don't know what the flash was, but I saw a flash.
Yeah, I think there's going to be some lightning and thunder, especially after.
Really? That might be the case. But it's really a good idea for people, and I include myself in this, to kind of be an observer and just peer at what's going on and not really be affected by it. Again, there are plenty of things that you can do.
I'm having fun at home, man. I'm taking this opportunity this week, especially with spring here. Going to be getting everything in order, cleaning
Yeah,
up. I got the week off of work next week. Um, work on our projects, and
absolutely. Absolutely.
you know, what else do I need? I'm just going to order food online, let them come to me. I'm not going there because it's crazy out there.
And Angry Brown, because I did bring up the guy who stabbed the 12-year-old, that he was a nut job. And there are, listen, and I would say that woman is a nut job too. The woman who did what she did, whether whether people agree with her anti-masking stance or not, the manner in which she chose to go about it was really nasty and foul. And the guy who's, yeah, there are unhinged lunatics out there, and I think we need to just say that there are lots of but sometimes the news and other things make people, even the unhinged lunatics gives them kind of a reason and makes people angry. And we haven't been talking to one another. And online, we can't talk to one another. It's kind of sad. So I don't know what else to say about that issue. And
There's not much to say. Anything that's coming out in the media. Come on. I mean, I don't trust any of these stories.
you know what? I guess I kind of believe some of them are true. I know that they will spin certain things to fit a narrative, and
Yeah.
people are biased. It's just the way that humans are. And there was a time I took it personally, but and there are times where things take me off kilter and they take it personally. But there's not there's nothing I can do about it sometimes. I mean, I do kind of believe in the mask and it is politeness, uh, but and for me, it's not that big of a deal to put it on when I go to the store.
Well, I'll just go. For me, I'll just take it back one step to what we were talking about before with inspiration and being. And I brought that up for a reason, that we are spirited beings. As long as you're taking breaths, you are a spirited being. And so, what do these masks effectively do? Is they make it harder to breathe. You're inhaling, you're inspiring your own exhaust. One of the major ways biologically that we expel waste from our bodies is by breathing. It's a normal function, and this only impedes that process. So that was the only reason I brought that up. And it once people understand, by definition, being spirited beings just means that we take breaths all day, every minute of our lives. And when you're done being a spirited being, you're dead. And I'm not going to let anything interfere with what I expel from my body and what I put into it.
Yeah, you know, yeah. I mean, breathing is important, and just I think that freeing our mind and just being a blank slate when you can re-listen again. And
Yes.
I got that from Alan Watts. Just
He's so good to listen to. He's so calming. And I almost I almost want to pull up a clip of his.
if you want to, now will that? Yeah, why don't we? Like, will that hurt us? So, like, yeah, go ahead, go pull up a clip and hear what he has to say.
Yeah, you might be right. I don't know if I want to replay, but he does have a lot of writing, and maybe what I'll do in the future is take a sample of his writing. And
He said, "Muddy water is cleared by leaving it alone. There is never anything but the present, and if one cannot live there, one cannot live anywhere." And
that's so true.
I read a book about happiness, and he said the past is dead and the future is imaginary. There's only the present. There's only the now. And to
Oh,
worry
I wish I knew you were.
tomorrow, yeah.
I would have come prepared with some quotes.
And I didn't get a university diploma, but Angry Brown does say you should demand a refund on your university diploma. And he might be talking not to me, but to you, JP and or Joe. But that's just their opinion, and they have a right to it if they want it. I mean, if they think you know. And he says, only someone from a warm place would say something so stupid. Um,
Here's one that I really try to live by, and I'm working on it, by Alan Watts. To have faith is to trust yourself to the water. When you swim, you don't grab hold of the water, because if you do, you will sink and drown. Instead, you relax and float. Try that.
it's very relaxing. And you have a pool, Joe. I mean, how often do you go into the water and just sit and meditate?
Oh man, I'm all about it. Um, I'm all about the pool, but I don't have a heater, so only a couple months out of the year
Have you ever tried just going in there cold?
I have, and it's really annoying. But I have done it when I've been in just such an awful place in my mind. I'll dunk my head in there often, actually.
Hmm.
Dunk my head in there, and I come
I
out of
never
there.
get up. I'm dunking my head. I just
Leave me alone. I'm dunking my head.
I just go in, I put the weights on, and I just jump in the pool, and I go. I hope I don't get up from this thing. But I think there are a lot of things that are just relaxing, whether it be a walk or anything else, and you just kind of free your mind and just relax. It is what it is, and take it one day at a time, and just veg.
Yes.
And that's really the best thing that you can do. Just relax.
Is that large enough for you to even get in? 40 foot. Yeah, that you should fit in there.
Well, you know what? Water is healing.
It is. It is.
It heals you when you drink it. Anyway, I think that'll do it. I think we've covered all that we needed to cover. Hopefully, individuals kind of get something out of this show. If not, that's fine too.
Yeah, I
So,
want to put a thank you out there to all of our live listens tonight.
yeah,
Today.
I think
Uh,
we've only gotten one, perhaps, and that
just
is
one. Just one. Yes. But you know what? Maybe we'll do a show later. Um, there are a few topics I really want to go get into with you at some point. So hopefully we can do that.
Well, hopefully we can, and we can cover that. So, yeah, like and subscribe this show, and leave a comment down below. Also, share this thing if you gain anything from it. So, thank you for listening, and that will do it. Thank you.